She is the mom of Christopher Duffley, a really amazing young man who is on the autism spectrum and is also blind. So first of all, welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy, Christine.
Well, thank you so much for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. And we want to start by having you tell our viewers a little bit about your story, about how this amazing child came to be in your life.
Thank you. Well, I'd love to share our story. Well, when my husband and I first got married, we had no idea how many kids and what life would bring. So we were very open to that. And I had 4 children at the time, 4 natural kids, and my brother and his girlfriend became pregnant, and the baby was born prematurely at 26 weeks, 1 pound, 12 ounces, and he was in critical condition. And unfortunately, as the weeks went by, we found out more about his situation, and unfortunately, the parents lost custody of him, and I didn't hear from my brother for a while. And basically, when you're missing a family member, once in a while, your heart gets moved, like what happened to that family member? And so that's what happened to me. As a mom, you wonder what happens. And so because I knew a little bit about what can happen and my brother's background of, unfortunately, with drugs, I did contact the state of Florida, and he was in social services. He was in their foster care system. But when I inquired about, having custody, they said, "Did you know?" And I said, "Well, did I know what?" And that he was completely blind. And he also rattled off 10 other very serious health conditions, one being asthma. He had hernias. For his age, he wasn't developing normally. And they said, "Well, are you still interested?" And I said, "Well, he's my nephew. Of course I'm still interested." So with my family's blessing and my husband's permission, I flew into Florida in April, just before his first birthday in 2002. And I got to meet the little guy. And I went through a lot of trepidation about it, because the special needs child I had 4 of my own already. Would it distract from them? And I think the bottom line was that love really does overcome all these other concerns, and being a family of faith, and also knowing that I had a son that was already 1, and that the 2 of them would grow up together, and being totally blind, he would need that support. Mm-hmm. So we made the decision. We first got custody of him that next August, and then within a year, the adoption went through.
And when did you?
Right. Yeah, with this little boy.
When did you realize that he had autism, Christine?
Well, probably around 3. He really wasn't talking properly. There were sensory issues. He would poke his eyes. He would slap his head. Mm-hmm. They were cause for concern. And I think, looking back now, almost 10 years, at that time, the diagnosis was fairly new. There weren't many doctors.
Right. We're autism moms, as you know. We have children his age. So we've been down this road. But I can only imagine with his other, with the blindness and some of the other health problems, how overwhelming this must have been for you.
Yeah, at first it was. Fortunate for me, though, I did have a good support system. And that's one of the things, as anyone that has a special needs child, and sometimes even our normal kids. I mean, all my kids have taken different roads in their education, and we always bend over to meet their needs. And so you have to have a strong support group, and I'm fortunate for our family that we did.
Well, good for you. I mean, it's a very inspirational story. Can you tell us when this interest in music developed? Because it was fairly early.
Yes, I'd love to share that. Well, because Christopher didn't talk and we loved music, we played music all the time. And I would go around to yard sales and I would collect phonics toys, and he loved them. He would, and this is one thing, he was very repetitive. The echolalia was severe. Yes. So he could talk, but he would repeat, "How are you? How are you?" "You want something, want something." We never really could, if he was sick, all we knew was that he would cry. So the music part, though, came with a little toy piano, VTech toys, anything that made noise. And then on that little piano, that really classical piano that you see that's brown and it's got, 15 keys on it, and it sounds, it's a kiddie piano. He started banging out "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star." And, but, again, some of the kids can do that, and really didn't think about it. And then my mom had seen an ad for music therapy, and she said, well, why don't we try this? And so on my own dime, I went into we have a local music school here, and music therapy was emerging. So we got a free evaluation, and she came out and she said, you won't believe this, but your child is perfect pitch. And I had no idea that it was really that special. I thought, well, he had an interest in music, and that was nice, and it made everything more pleasurable. But he actually started singing. He sang before he could really converse. The first song that he sang was called Open the Eyes of My Heart, which is a song by Paul Balash and sung in many, many different churches and on the radio and everywhere. And it was one of these things where he couldn't see. So we wanted to teach him that he could see with his heart.
Beautiful.
More to life than having eyesight. But the autism, when we were diagnosed finally around the age of 5, I have to tell you, though, like many of you, I was devastated. I mean, a good 6 months, I think, is like, I already had the blindness. God, why the autism? And I think we all go through that. And I did. I went through that. And I think that's, and knowing he was blind was one thing. But then, because I tell people, well, I knew he was blind when he came to me. So now I really have the feeling of a sense of loss, even though we have, as parents, we need to turn that around.